Welcome back to this Excel project, episode 2. Last time we set up the different tabs for tables, getting that set up. Today we're going to do some additional setup before we get into any programming or creating the macro. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new tab, and we're going to call this reference. And we are going to create different tables on this sheet that we will refer to either as lookup lists or something to do in the code. And so what I've done is I have in Word, I went in and I listed all of the table names and the tab names, and I did that by going into here and simply looking at the tab names and what the table names on those tabs were, and I put those into a Word table. So why a Word table? Why not just another Excel program? If I remember correctly, and I didn't try it, but if I remember correctly, if I have the name manager open here in Excel, I can't use another Excel. I have to close this before I can go to another Excel, or to, as you can hear, to use any part of the program outside of the name manager. So that's why I used Word. And so I'm just going to go in and copy all these, Control C. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to here. And I don't want to wrap text. And I don't want all these borders. And it should be the calibre 11. Yeah, okay. And now I'm going to create a table here that's called TBL tab names. Going to highlight this, and I'm going to the name manager. I'm going to say new, and the name here is going to be LKP for lookup reference. That's because it's in the reference tab name. Say okay. And so here you'll see one of the things I was talking about. It's going to be sorted now by name, and so all my lookup references or ranges are going to be together. All my tables are going to be together. Anything else I create in name in a different way will be together, like just plain range names. Okay, I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to Control C, copy that name because I won't remember it. I want to come back over here and I'm going to delete this. Go to data validation. I'm going to say use a list, and I'm going to say equals that. And there you have all the different tab names. I believe that's what that was on. Right, let's see. Let's go over to right click here. Go there. Yes, that's where we were at. Now notice in here I don't have add-ons as part of the tab names, and that is because my understanding is we're never actually going to go via code to the add-ons tab for anything. Basically down here, whenever something is selected off of the add-ons table, we'll simply pull the formula over into here. we can directly reference it, as opposed to having to decide which of these different ones we're going to go to. So that's why I don't have that tab on here, because I don't think we need it. They're not going to select it in here, and so there's no reason to put it in here and cause confusion. So that's why I don't have it. I'm going to come to add-ons, and I'm going to highlight the add-on ID. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to say new. This also is going to be lookup, so LKP underscore add-ons, telling me what tab it's on, add on ID. Okay, I'm going to Control C, copy that, close this. I'm going to come back into here and I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go to data validation and I'm going to delete this and say equals Control V. Oh, we don't have the excess hours add-on that was supposed to be in there. So I will have to add that back in so that I can pull that down. Probably should make sure that we have all of these. Because when I went in and just randomly delete, well, they didn't randomly delete, but I deleted all those additional rows. So when I went in and I deleted all of those additional rows that were on here, there were a lot of rows, as I said before, I didn't pay attention to what was down here so that I could make sure that I include those, or I have them back for the example. So I just did that, and then this should be X hours. All right. We're going to copy that, Control C, and I believe that I can do a paste format. To give me all of the different, to make all these a drop down, but no, it also copied that. I don't want to do that. So undo. I want to be able to replicate what I have here. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste this. Now I will come down and do formatting. Nope, didn't do that. Well, see, you guys, that's what I'm talking about, making mistakes. I'm just going to do that then. These weren't on the add-on table, so I'm not going to change these. Okay, so I went through, again, I did this offline. There's no reason for you guys to watch me do this. It's no big secret in how to do it, but I just kind of restored these to the values they were before. They all now have the drop-down box, which is tied to this column, the add-on ID, in the add-on table. Okay. Now let's see, what do I want to do now? I'm thinking of this up on the fly. Okay, I think Control left click that I want to insert a column, and it won't let me do that in mass. So really, it won't let me do that in mass? Well, that's a bummer. That takes a lot of additional time that shouldn't have to do. All right. Well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to insert a column before all these tables and all these tabs. I'll do that offline. No reason. You know how to do it. No reason for you to watch me do it. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and I've added a column in front of all these tables. So the reason I did that is because I want to be able to, I'm going to want to pull these values, whatever the selection is here, when they input this information, I want to be able to have it appear up here so that in code I can go to whatever tab I need to go to, and I know, like for example, that I'm going to pull the salary information from cell D2. I had thought about actually making that a named range and then just referring to the named range to get the value. However, thinking long-term maintenance probably would not be the way to go, because when we're all done here, what we're going to do is we're going to create an additional tab that will be a template tab, so that when new salary schedules are added, in case there ever are, they can use that, they can copy in that, make a copy of the template tab and use that copy to create whatever that new salary schedule is. And if I put in the formulas up here and it already has this information, and then I refer to, I just get the values like from D2 in the code, then I don't have to I don't have to count on the person who's creating a new salary schedule tab to know to, say for example, make this a named range and how to name it appropriately so that it will be picked up in the code. And if I'm referring to named ranges in the code, I would need some way of being able to identify, oh, there's a new named range, and how do I access it via the code? You know, how do I come over here and add it to a reference, which means then I will need to tell the person who's using the spreadsheet, when you add a new salary schedule tab, you will need to also update this named range for these values, which in my experience will confuse quite a few people. Already I'm going to have to tell them, hey, whenever you add a new salary schedule tab, you will need to come in here and type in the tab name and the table name. Now, let me see if I go here. Can I do column width? Yes, I can. Thank you. In all caps, I'm going to type do not delete these rows or else macro will break. Highlight that. I'm going to make it a red and a bold. Center them. Put a thick border around it. Try to make it stand out. Okay, the add-on, the format of the add-on table is different than the salary schedules. The salary schedules are all row, column, salary range, budget, amount, and description, and then key. They are all that way, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all these tabs, going to come in here, I'm going to Control C, copy that. I'm going to right click, paste just the values. So we can see that that is now on every sheet and it ties into there. Oh, but what we need to do is come back here and make this a bold border, because when I made these borders here, it changed that from being a bold border. Okay, Control left click, go back to add-on, do the same thing, right click, values only, center, all borders, come back into here and make that a bold border and save. The salary schedule tabs are set up the way they should be. I don't think I need anything more on the salary schedule tabs, except do I want to actually insert I think I want to insert a row there, do Control X, paste that up in there, and then when I'm done, I'm going to hide these 3 rows so that it'll be harder for somebody to come in and delete them by accident or overwrite the formulas, etc. Okay. So when I look here, we see that what I did when I had them all highlighted, it impacted all of them. And so now my warning is in excess of 1 row, but you know, whatever. I'm not gonna mess with that. Okay, here I'm going to come in here and I'm going to insert 10 rows. Why 10? Just because that's what I'm used to doing whenever I'm setting up some kind of behind the background tools or mechanisms that is going to drive other parts of the spreadsheet. I'm going to make this a row height of 10. All right. Now I am going to make a named range here, and basically it is going to be range plus step here. So I'm going to actually make this. What are you telling me? Oh, all right. Sure. Is that the same here? No. Are these actually text? They're general. I don't think they're text. Let me test. Equals. No, this plus this. No, so they're not text. Okay. So this needs not be text. Though, again, it doesn't really matter, because the key, when we convert it to the key, then it can be text. Okay, anyway, I'm going to name this R for range, salary, calc, template, tells me what tab it's on, range. Okay, I'm going to come here and I'm going to R, salary, calc, template, tells me what tab it's on, step. And then I'm going to come up here. I'm going to make this blue, which tells me it's a calculated cell. And I'm going to say R, salary, schedule, or calc, template, tells me what tab it's on, range, step. And that is correct, right? Because here is row and column, which we determine is range and step. Yeah. Okay, and we're going to make this equals that and that. And then we're going to come over here, and we're not going to do this in the add-ons. And in fact, you know, this part here for the add-on tab is it's going to be pointless. I'm thinking, now that I think about it, because again, it's not going to be the same as the salary schedules. But okay, we can leave it that way. It's not going to hurt anything. And at least the consistency is there in case we want to use it in the future, it'll be consistent. So what we're going to say here is that this equals our salary. So see, that's why I name it the way I name it, because I know it's very easy to see. When I say equals, now I got all these things I got to potentially look through to get the value I want. But instead I can do R. I know it's salary calc, and now I can see I have one for range step, one for step. So I can just double click that and say okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use XLOOKUP to find, and let me make sure it works by using using the salary schedule that we have actually chosen over on the salary calc template. So I'm going to use XLOOKUP, and I'm going to pull these values from this table down here up into here. And then for my code, whenever I want to refer to, I want to get a value from a certain tab, instead of trying to do code to look it up in the table, all I have to do is come up here and pull it from this row and columns. Equals XLOOKUP. The lookup value is here, and we're going to lock that by doing an F4, comma. The lookup array is here, and we're going to do Control Shift down arrow to choose that column. And the return array, Control up, is going to be here. Control Shift down arrow. If not found, we want it to say NA, and we want it to do an exact match. We don't need a search method, and we can see, oh, there it is. All right, there you go. Now I can drag this across. I really don't want that in here. So all I need to do is come in here and say key. Come in here and say key. Now I don't know how to, whenever I'm copying it, when I drag across a formula that has these table references in it, I don't know how to keep them from changing necessarily. I'm sure there probably is a way, and I probably should look that up, but I don't know what that is right now. And I don't well, I guess maybe I want budget amount. There isn't any budget amount in any of the tables, but in case in the future there is. In description, I don't need the description. So 15-1, 1824. I'm going to freeze the page just so I can check to see if that's correct. 15-1, 1824. So that's working correctly. All right, so now what I'm going to do, you guys saw how I did this. Let's look at this formula in this format so that you can see how to fill out the function argument. So you can see how this is completed in case that's the way you like to do things. And now I'm going to go offline and fix this here for all these different tabs. So you know how to do it. There's no need for you to watch me do it for all these different tabs. So I will see you on the other side. Okay, I'm back. I only have one more to do, but I wanted to show you guys what I was doing here, that it didn't take that long. So first I need to go ahead and lock that into place. And then I come over here, because since all of my tables start with TBL, I don't need to replace this. I just need to replace this, the table name, which is subs full, because remember I had all the tabs selected and I entered this formula originally on subs full, so that's why it thinks I want the subs full table. But now again, the beauty of naming the tables the way that I have is I know that this is tab AD 210, so all I have to do is start typing AD, and there it is, AD underscore 210. Hit tab and that selects the table. So I do Control Shift right arrow, or sorry, left arrow 4 times in this case. Other times it was 3. I come over here and then I do Control Shift right arrow 3 times. Do Control V. Notice now these columns are lit up, and I am now on the right table. I drag and drop this across. Notice, as I had said before, the row and column, it switched, so it didn't stay on key. Though the column is correct, salary rate is correct in this formula, etc. The what should have been the key column continues reference, and the table continues to move. So now there is a way that, and I'll just show you, there is a way that if I wanted to copy these different columns and not have the key and row value change, I can select here and then do Control R, fill to the right, and now notice it kept key, row. So that, before I went offline, I said I wasn't sure how to do that. So while I was offline, I just went onto YouTube real quick and looked it up. So learned a new thing. That's how you learn new things and become an Excel pro, is by looking things up. And so that's what I did. The other way that you can do that is if you do Control C and then Control V, it also keeps the original key row formula. It doesn't change them. But we do want this to change column and salary rate, budget amount, etc. And so what I was doing is, since it's key that I want, I just type in key, tab twice, come over here, highlight column, type in key, tab twice, salary rate, key, tab twice, and that was easy to make those changes. Now I want to check to make sure that it's working. And what I learned in checking to see that these formulas are working correctly is that these values are in text. So they are a text value. And so if I do 9.2, well, if I just do 9.2 as a number, it doesn't give me any results. If I do 9.2 here, then it gives me the correct results. So that's how I figured out in my testing to make sure that my formula is working correctly. That's how I figured out that these are actually text values that are in these row and columns. So now to get this back to where it should be, I just do equals R salary schedule, down arrow, select range step, tab, and it's now where it needs to be. And so now I've gotten all of the tabs set up so that these rows work, except for add-ons. I didn't do that, but I probably should just to be consistent. Okay, so equals X lookup. The lookup value is here. Lock that in place with an F4, comma. My lookup array is my key. So it's going to be all of the key, and then my return array is going to be here. Control Shift down. If not found in A and 0. Okay. And then I just copy that all the way across. And now I just need to come in here and do key. 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 Now let's see if this works. So 44. My formula, yep, so that works. We can see it returns the correct value. I do undo, so it's now back to where that needs to be. And that is good. So I think now, I'm ready to actually start coding. And so since that's the case, again, I say I think. I haven't mapped this out or planned it out ahead of time. I'm just going off the top of my head. Normally I would map it out ahead of time, but I'm just doing this for benefit of you guys to see how this creativity in action works. So I think that I'm ready to do coding. And so having said that, I think we will end this video here. And in our next video, we will start working on the macro. So thank you everybody for joining us, and hopefully you will join us for the next episode where we work on the macro. Thank you and have a great day.